For years, the royal family has survived storms that many believed would completely shake the foundations of the monarchy. Public scandals, headlines, family disagreements, and private controversies have repeatedly placed enormous pressure on the institution. But according to growing discussions surrounding royal circles, another uncomfortable question is once again beginning to surface. What happens when personal struggles, financial pressure, and family tensions collide behind palace walls? Because right now, conversations are growing around concerns that old wounds inside the royal household may not be as buried as many once believed. And what makes this situation even more fascinating isn't simply money or headlines, it's the possibility that unresolved history still has the power to create fresh tension at the highest level of the royal family. Some insiders suggest the real story may not even be what the public has seen so far. And if that's true, then what happens next could become far more complicated than anyone expected. For decades, one name has repeatedly found itself attached to stories involving headlines, controversy, and public fascination: Sarah Ferguson. Over the years, she built a reputation as one of the most talked-about figures connected to the royal family, often drawing attention not only because of royal connections, but also because of personal financial difficulties and public challenges. Yet what makes the current conversation different is the growing focus on how financial pressure can create entirely new dynamics behind the scenes. Reports over many years have documented periods where financial decisions and personal struggles placed enormous strain on her public image. But pressure changes people, and history shows that difficult circumstances sometimes create unpredictable outcomes. The question now being quietly asked isn't whether problems existed before everyone already knows that story. The bigger question is whether financial pressure today could create new tensions tomorrow, and whether the monarchy is prepared for that possibility. Inside royal history, perhaps one lesson has appeared again and again: family problems rarely stay private forever. Public attention eventually finds its way to even the most carefully protected situations. And that reality creates a difficult challenge for any institution built around image, tradition, and stability. According to ongoing discussions surrounding the monarchy, some observers believe the royal family now faces a balancing act that is becoming increasingly difficult. On one side is the desire to maintain unity and avoid unnecessary public conflict. On the other side is the expectation that modern institutions should appear transparent and accountable. And hidden between these two worlds sits a problem that no amount of royal tradition can easily solve. Because whenever money, family loyalty, and public reputation become connected together, even small decisions can quickly become much bigger than expected. What makes this situation even more interesting is the possibility of growing differences in how senior members of the royal family may view these challenges. Every generation approaches problems differently. Some believe difficult situations should be handled quietly behind closed doors to avoid creating larger damage. Others believe that avoiding problems only allows future issues to become even bigger. This difference in thinking isn't unique to royalty. Families everywhere experience it. But when the family involved happens to be one of the most watched institutions in the world, even ordinary disagreements can suddenly become major stories. And if conversations behind palace walls are becoming increasingly difficult, then the real issue may no longer be simply about one individual situation. It may be about competing visions for the future itself. But before understanding where things could go next, there's another layer many people overlook completely. Financial pressure alone rarely creates chaos overnight. Usually, problems build slowly over time, quietly stacking one on top of another until eventually the weight becomes impossible to ignore. Public stories from previous years have repeatedly highlighted spending concerns, financial struggles, and periods of instability connected to royal controversies. And while headlines often focus only on dramatic moments, they rarely show the gradual path that led there. Sometimes the most important story isn't the explosion itself, it's the small warning signs that appeared long before anyone paid attention. And according to some royal observers, those warning signs may be exactly why current discussions are receiving so much attention now. Because if history teaches anything, It's that unresolved pressure rarely disappears on its own. As conversations surrounding the monarchy continue to grow, attention is now shifting towards something far deeper than financial headlines. Because behind every public institution lies a hidden battle that people rarely see, the battle between protecting stability and confronting uncomfortable realities. Royal families throughout history have often relied on silence, careful management, and strategic decisions to preserve their public image. But the modern world works differently. Information moves faster, public scrutiny is harsher, and questions that once disappeared quietly can now remain alive for months or even years. That creates an entirely new environment for the monarchy. Suddenly, even decisions intended to reduce tension can sometimes create even greater curiosity. And according to some royal commentators,